It's big picture time. It's big picture time. It's big picture time. It's big picture time. Hi. Hey, everybody. Good morning. Good to see y'all. Or afternoon, whenever you're watching this. It's me, Adam, here with you to talk about the big picture. Did you do your hand signal? Of the Bible here. And you know what we've been doing here. Been going through God's Word and seeing that it's not just little stories, but it's one big story. So let me pray and we'll get going. Lord Jesus, I'm so excited we're coming to the end of our discussion of the Old Testament. Help us to put the pieces together so that we can see the story as you're unfolding it and as it gets ready to get into the New Testament and talk about Jesus. Bless our time. Guys, have fun and learn lots. In Jesus' name, amen. Hey, a little warning for you guys. It's so bright outside today that I had to actually tape up some posters in my window to make it a little bit darker because otherwise it'd be flooded with light here. So if they fall down, I'm just warning you, it could happen. Maybe it won't, but we might get flooded with light here. But that's okay because we're having fun. So we're going to do a little bit something different today because we are coming to the end of the Old Testament. The Old Testament is it's really more than half of the Bible. It's the first part of the Bible. And in it, God is setting up this big story of saving mankind that he runs throughout the whole Bible. And if you remember kind of the picture that I've been giving you guys, I brought it back this time. It's kind of like, it didn't shake for a while. I think I have a bag in there. It's like a puzzle. This is my Ravensburger 1,000 piece puzzle. Maybe I'll do it this Christmas with my kids here. And if you've done puzzles, you know all the different little pieces fit together to form one big picture. And because the one piece has certain colors and shapes, you can fit it in with all the other ones. And that's what we're trying to do, is to put all of the smaller little stories together into this one big story in the Bible. The big story, it's a story of rescue. You remember that basically the Bible starts out with Adam and Eve in the garden. God made them. He made this beautiful world. And the problem comes up that mankind, Adam and Eve, want to be their own bosses. They say, you know what, we can do a better job than God. And so they choose to eat the fruit. And because of that, they have this broken relationship with God and a broken world. And that's the start of the story. And basically, as the Bible goes on, we've been saying that it's been coming back to two basic solutions. Mankind's solution is, can we fix it? Yes, we can. And that doesn't go so well. So eventually, the people get ready for God's solution, which is, trust me, obey me, and I'm going to send you a rescuer to pick you up out of this mess. And God does this so that he has people see that it's better for them, for all of us really, to trust in God being the boss rather than letting ourselves be our own bosses. So what I'm going to do today, since we're reviewing our big picture of the puzzle of the Bible here, is I'm going to show you some 5 puzzle pieces. Okay, this is a review, so it's everything you've already heard if you've been watching along. And your job, think of it like a quiz or a test here, is I'm going to show you the puzzle piece, and you tell me, what theme do you think it is in the Bible that I'm pointing to? And you go, what is a theme? I've never heard that word very much before. A theme, it's like a puzzle pattern. Just like if you have a puzzle and you look for colors or shapes, it's what are the specific colors or shapes that show up again and again in the story of the Bible that help us piece together the story. I'll show you the first one and you see what I mean. So I'm going to show you a puzzle piece and you're going to say, oh, that's where we talked about fill in the blank, right? Okay, so here's our first puzzle piece. One theme or one puzzle pattern in the Old Testament is, can you guess it? Do you know what it is? I'm not going to have you pause. Okay, this is the theme of the rescuer. And if you noticed, it's a puzzle piece that has 2 flat edges, and I chose that deliberately. I'll show you what it looks like full. If you didn't catch it, I think most of you recognize this, right? This is the pattern in the Bible about God sending a rescuer. He's going to crush the head of the serpent and fix this broken world. Now, the reason why I chose it to have 2 flat sides is because if you do puzzles a lot, you always go for the edges first, right? It's easier to find a flat edge and see the pattern here. But the best pieces in the puzzle are the corner pieces because they have 2 flat edges and it's very easy to see where they fit in. And this theme or this kind of pattern, puzzle pattern, of the rescuer is so important, I made it a corner piece. When my kids and I do a puzzle for Christmas, we sort through all the puzzle pieces very first thing. And it's like this, like you won like some kind of award or prize if you can find a corner piece. You're like, I got one of the corners, because you know exactly where it goes. You just kind of look at the picture on the box and you say, oh, well, I know that puzzle piece goes right here because it has a little bit of this, a little bit of this, and two flat edges. Boom. And off you go making your puzzle. So where do we see the rescuer in the Old Testament? Well, we see it in the Garden of Eden. Remember, God says, I'm going to send this person who's going to rescue you, crush the head of the serpent. But we see different kind of smaller rescuers along the way. Remember, we talked about Joseph, how God sent him to Egypt. He was betrayed by his brothers, sold as a slave, but he rose up in Egypt and he rescued the people of the time from famine, from hunger. Later on, we get a rescuer of Moses, who rescued people out of Egypt and brought them back to the Promised Land. You can even think of someone like King David as a rescuer. I mean, when you think of probably the most famous story with David is David and who? Goliath, right? David and Goliath. This is another picture of someone God uses to deal with this immensely big problem. And we even saw that when we started talking about the prophets, that God said this rescuer was going to deal with the serpent by offering forgiveness. He says, I'm going to forgive you. And it was not just Isaiah, it was Jeremiah too. He says, I'm going to forgive this sin, this rebellion here. So that's our first puzzle piece here, our first pattern. Our first theme is the rescuer. Okay, ready? Okay, you can keep score if you want to. There's going to be 5 of them, okay? And the first 4 are worth 1 point. The last one is worth 3. So if you want to compete with your siblings or your mom or dad, go for it. So that was the first one. You don't have to get the words perfectly. Just get the idea. Okay, second theme or second kind of pattern we see in our Old Testament here. I'll put it against my shirt. Do you even know what this is? This is a tricky one. See, it's like kind of a weird shape of a puzzle. You know what this one is? I'll show it to you. This is the full picture here. This is the pattern or the theme of the family line. It means like your parents and your grandparents and your great-grandparents. It's how your family is traced down to the rescuer. And so there's a lot of time spent in the Old Testament on whose family is this, who's going to bring this rescuer, right? If you remember, the rescuer, because like a funnel gets narrower and narrower. God says first, Eve, it's going to be one of your kids. And then when Abraham shows up, he says, Abraham, it's going to be one of your kids. And then when Judah shows up, he says, Judah, it's going to be one of your kids. And it gets narrower and narrower, skinnier and skinnier all along until King David shows up. And God says, you know what? It's going to be through your family line, David. It's going to be one of your great-great-great-grandkids is going to be this rescuer. So this is, again, a pattern that shows up in the Old Testament here. Okay, did you get that point? You get 2 points. 2 for 2 so far? 0 for 2? How many points you got here? Okay, third one. This is a huge theme, and I think you're going to get a point for this one, okay? What's the theme here? I hope you know who this is by now, right? This is Bob the Builder. I don't know his little friend's name here, but I'll show you the whole thing here. This is what we've been saying is mankind's solution to the problem. This is a theme that shows up again and again. It's can we fix it? Yes, we can. This is, again, mankind's answer to the problem with the world. They say, you know what, God? We can do it in our own strength, in our own power. We don't need you. Thank you very much. And if you think through this, you could probably think of so many stories in the Bible where people try to do things by their own strength or power, and God is saying, well, that's not actually the best solution. If you think through it, we talked about some of these early on. We talked about in Genesis, we had the story of Cain killing Abel. He used his superior strength to crush his brother. We had, you can barely see the ark here. This is Noah in the time of the flood here. As mankind said, we don't need God, we're just going to live our own way, and they lived really wickedly, really evilly, so God sent a flood to crush them. And then even after the time of the flood, when people began to spread out on the earth, they said, you know what, we're going to build the Tower of Babel. We're going to set up our own kingdom, our own government, one where we don't need God, we can be our own bosses. Thank you very much. And this whole pattern of can we fix things? Yes, we can, continues on and on and on. If I just say toilet of the Old Testament, what book do you think of? Hopefully Judges, right? This is with Gideon and Samson. It was all these bad leaders who said, we're going to try to fix it in our own strength. And there's this downward spiral showing it gets really bad when people try to fix things in their own strength and ignore God. We saw this even when the Israelite people tried to come into the promised land. They were leaving Egypt, and they go in there and they see giants in the land, and God says, trust me, obey me, and I'll deliver them. And they go, oh, we don't want to. And God says, okay, well, wander around in the desert for 40 years. And all of a sudden they go, oh, yeah, we want to. We'll fight the giants now. And God says, no, I'm not going to help you. They say, can we fix it? Yes, we can. And they go in and fight the giants, and the giants trample them, basically. They had their chance to trust and obey God, but they chose to do it in their own strength, and they didn't do it. You think of the very first king of Israel was King Saul. Remember what was special about Saul? Think Saul, tall. He was a head taller than everybody else, and he looked like this. You could not even see the top of his head. Well, actually, you probably could see the top of his head. But that's my point is, Saul is this picture of someone who's bigger, stronger, taller, and everyone thought, that's the guy we want. But God was saying, he's got a bad heart, though. You don't want the biggest, the strongest, the one who says, can we fix it? Yes, we can. We want someone who trusts and obey God. We saw this whole can we do it in our own strength thing through the theme of idols. People trying to set up their own gods that they could control like puppets to do what they want. And we saw this through the two kingdoms, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. The kings in the north said, we don't want God at all. And every single one of them, they worshipped idols, they turned away from God, and they got ripped up and scattered. I'm not going to rip anything. Well, I don't think I'm going to rip anything. You have to watch to find out. But they got scattered here. And even God's people would sometimes fall into this trap of thinking, can we fix it? Yes, we can. I mean, none of us are perfect, right? Okay, let's just put it that way. But even Abraham, he was a good guy, but he tried to, by his own strength, made sure that he had a child for this promise that God was going to deliver him. If you remember, it's my favorite. I don't need many excuses to bring it back. Little Grabber was one who tried to fix things on his own. He stole things from his brother. He tricked his dad. He cheated his uncle over and over again. He would try to, I'm going to grab it. Can we fix it? You bet I can, buddy. You got to love Little Grabber. He's just so cute, isn't he? But he didn't learn till later in life that that's not the way you do things. Even Moses, when he started out, he murdered an Egyptian. He tried to do it in his own strength, and that didn't go so well. So he ran away to the desert. Then God says, hey, why don't you try it my way and do it my way? And Moses did pretty well. But even at the end of his life, Moses disobeyed God and struck a rock in the desert when God said, don't strike it, just speak to it. And he didn't honor God, and he didn't get to go into the promised land. And you know about King Solomon. He started out well. He started trusting and obeying God, but he didn't end up well. He started trusting in idols because of all of his foreign wives, and he worshipped other gods. So that's a major theme is, can we fix it? Yes, we can. Okay, how's your points going here? Next theme, next Bible puzzle. Okay, think of what theme this is. Let's see if we can get it here. Okay, well, you probably know the story there. That's obviously Daniel and the lion's den. But what's the theme? Think here. I'll show you the big picture. The theme here, and this is just one example of the theme, of the pattern, the puzzle pattern, is trust and obey God. And so often, trusting and obeying God, it's the flip side to Bob the Builder. Bob the Builder says, me strong, me fix. Trust and obey says, me not so strong, but me trusting God. Okay, I don't know why I'm talking like Jar Jar Binks here. But it's a choice of strength, my strength, versus my weakness, but God's strength. And this shows up over and over and over again. God's saying, don't try to fix it yourself. Don't try to be strong in yourself, but look to me. Trust and obey me, and I will give you the strength. And you can think of many places in the Bible. Abraham, even though at times he didn't trust God. Remember when he was raising the knife? Okay, I brought my knife back. Okay, to kill Isaac, God provided a sacrifice for him so he didn't have to kill his son. Little grabber, even though most of his life was grabby, 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 hey, these are my glasses, little grabber, stop it. At the end of his life when he was an old man, Jacob, also known as Little Grabber, he blessed his grandsons and he understood God's going to bless the younger one rather than the older one. And he finally understood at the end of his life, not when he was a baby, not even when he was a young man or middle-aged man, but when he was an old man, he understood, yeah, I can't be doing this in my own strength. I need God's strength here. Remember the story of manna, the bread in the wilderness? That was a trust and obey story. Every day people had to go gather bread and obey God the way he said to get it, so they learned to trust and obey. The Battle of Jericho with the walls. Remember we had the walls back here? Wasn't that fun? I still don't know how those walls fell down. Actually, I do. But that was another thing where they trusted God, obeyed God, and God brought the walls down. David versus Goliath, right? Did David have more strength? Did he have more armor than Goliath? Did he have a sharper sword? No. But he says, I come to you in the name of the Lord God, who you defied. He trusted in God's strength. Solomon, early in his life, he didn't end well, but he started well. He started saying, I want to trust you and I want wisdom, and God gave him that. And then even in the divided kingdom where there's this northern kingdom of bad kings, in the south, some of the kings were bad, but some of them were good. And they said, we're going to trust God. Like Hezekiah was a good one, and there's some other ones there. And then, just like the picture I showed you, Daniel and his friends. So that's another puzzle piece. Trust and obey. God uses the weak who trust him rather than the strong. Okay, only two more themes to go through here, and then we'll be done with our review here. Okay, this one, I almost didn't need to cut a puzzle piece for this because it's so obvious here what it is. Maybe, maybe not. Looks like a puzzle piece here. What theme do you think this is? Think of the story here. I'll show you. This is the theme. Okay, this is the ram caught in the tree. Remember, with Isaac was going to sacrifice. Abraham was going to sacrifice Isaac, but God provided this ram who's caught in the tree branches, and he sacrificed the ram instead. This is a theme or a puzzle piece, a puzzle pattern that shows up again and again in the Old Testament. Is sacrifice, where one thing will die instead of something else. So instead of, pretend this isn't Little Grabber, pretend this is Isaac. Don't kill me, Dad. Where instead of Isaac being killed, the ram is killed. And this is a theme that shows up again and again, where God provides a sacrifice or something else that's killed so that someone else doesn't have to suffer. Think, in the Garden of Eden, when Adam and Eve ate the fruit, what did God clothe them in? Not fig leaves, animal skin. So an animal had to die so that their sin could be covered up. Later on with Abraham and Isaac, we already talked about there's this ram that shows up to be sacrificed in place of Isaac. In the story of the Exodus, what did they paint on their door frames? I'll paint my door frame in the background here. I'm painting it. They painted it with the blood of basically a goat or a lamb who was a sacrifice in place of the firstborn sons of the Israelites. Okay, over and over again this shows up in the Jewish sacrificial system. We didn't spend a lot of time on that. That's in Leviticus and Deuteronomy. There's like these books of laws on how to kill animals in order to pay for the sins of others. So it's this big theme of one thing takes the punishment in place of something else. And then when we get to Isaiah, which we talked about a little bit last week, we see that the rescuer, it says that he is going to suffer for the sins of many. He's going to be this sacrifice, right? So that's another theme here, is that sacrifice, one thing dying for the other. Okay, this is the last one, and what did I say? It's worth 3 points, so I don't know what your score is so far. This one's a hard one, so that's why I'm going to give you 3. Okay, one last theme that we're going to look at here. Let's see if you can get it. Okay, I'm going to hold it up here so you can see it pretty well, because it's kind of hard to tell what that is. Try to figure out what you're looking at there. It's not one that I showed you yet, okay? But if you can see, it's a lot of people walking away from a place. Oops. It's a lot of people walking away from a place. This is the theme of exile. It's when people, it's the timeout. Remember how I had my timeout for the gummy worm incident? It's when people are taken out of where they're supposed to be and they're taken somewhere else. So here, being taken out of Jerusalem, their hometown, and they're saying, the Babylonians saying, nope, you are our slaves. You got to go live in our kingdom. And they pull them out and pull them somewhere else. And this theme of exile or time out shows up again and again. Adam and Eve, they start out where? Oh, beautiful Garden of Eden. But they get taken out, kicked out into this broken, fallen world. God brings Abraham out of Babylon, which is this picture of this world system. He brings him to this land that he wants to give him. So he brings him out of exile to where he is supposed to be. But then the Jews end up in Egypt, and they're not supposed to be there. They're slaves. And so God sends them Moses, who brings them back to the land where they're supposed to be. When the people keep on trusting in themselves and their idols instead of God, God takes them to Babylon to exile again. And when he brings them back this last time, they're back in the land. They have a temple, they have a wall, but they have Gaston hearts, right? And so even though they're back in their land, they realize, we're still in exile. Even though we are in our city, our hearts are not where they're supposed to be. They're far away. We're still in a time out of the heart. And so we talked out last time, by the end of the New Testament, we're just filled with this expectation of, where is this rescuer, God, that you're going to send? And I'll say this, the people, they realized their hearts are empty, they're broken, and they need God's solution to rescue them. They say, it hasn't worked out so well the past few thousand years when we try to fix it ourselves. Maybe now we can trust in God's plan. And God's plan is, I'm going to cut a new deal with you. I'm going to give you fresh hearts, new hearts. I'm going to give you my spirit to live in you so you can want to obey me. But I'm going to send you my rescuer. And get this. If you think about this puzzle box that we've been filling in the Old Testament here, we still have more of the Bible to go. It's like there's this missing piece in the middle. And it's the thing that's missing is this face of the rescuer. We have all these different pieces around the edge here, and they all come together in the rescuer. Sacrifice, the rescuer is going to suffer as a sacrifice. Trusting and obeying God, the rescuer is going to trust and obey God and show us and model for us what it's like to trust and obey him. Exile, he's going to lead God's people out of this exile of the heart and bring their hearts back to where they're supposed to be. And ultimately, he's going to crush the head of the serpent. This problem of evil, this problem of separation from God, the problem of the broken world, it all comes together in the rescuer. And so by the time we get through the end of the Old Testament, which is about 2/3 of the Bible-ish, we're saying, okay, we have enough of the puzzle pieces to see here. Where is the rescuer? We need the rescuer. Where? Help, God, send the rescuer. And that should set our hearts in expectation for what God does next through Jesus. Okay, I gave the answer here. Okay, I had hoped my videos would be shorter today. It wasn't, sorry. Parents, if you do have about 12 minutes more, there is a great video from the Bible Project. Just go to YouTube and search for Bible Project Tanakh, T-A-N-A-K. Bible Project Tanakh, T-A-N-A-K. Tanakh is just the Jewish or the Hebrew word for Old Testament. They'll explain it there. The first 3 minutes, I'll warn you, the video are a little technical, so if you want to just skip the first 3 minutes, I give you permission. But what it does is it gives the story of the Old Testament in about a 13-minute story. It puts all the pieces together and it really comes to the same conclusion, saying there is a hole that is left by the Old Testament that is only filled when we snap it together with the puzzle pieces in the New Testament. Cool stuff. Okay, I guess we're starting the New Testament next week. Woo! See you guys then, and have a great week. Bye.